Well, for Ruben Amorim, it probably seems like a lifetime ago, because we're looking at their current results. The team are in the bottom half of the table. He currently has a win rate in the Premier League of 31.6% and a points per game average of 1.16. These are the lowest of any Manchester United manager in Premier League history. But of course, he hasn't even seen a full season out just yet. He's inherited all the players. So we don't want to judge him too harshly here, Carlton. But what do you make of his tenure so
listen,
far?
When you say judge him too harshly, first and foremost, right, he's got to be given time. There was major surgery needed to be done at Manchester United, and I get that. But if you're going to go into a football club and say, right, I want to play 3-4-3, and you haven't got the players to play that system, and you've got to get results whilst you're making that transition, for Amorim to get anywhere close to challenging for the league title, they're going to need several transfer windows, several. So in the I've been a little bit disappointed that he hasn't, in the meantime, whilst he's trying to make that transition, come up with a system with the players he's got to get results. You know, what he's done is been headstrong and said, right, well, this is the way I want to play, 3-4-3. I'm putting players into in positions that they can't play in that system, and they're getting beat. You know, and so for me, I'm a little bit disappointed in that. Yes, we know he's got a big job. He's got a lot to turn around at Manchester United, but at the same time, you've still got to get results, and they still could have got results with that, and that was proven with Ten Hag. It was proven with Ten Hag. So, you know, the players can do well at Manchester United that he has there, but playing in a certain system, and they haven't done. So the season now has effectively ended out being worse than what it should be, in my opinion.
He was reluctant to come in when he came in partway through the season, and coaches don't like to do that, because, especially with him in particular, believing that he was going to have to change the United style of play, the basic formation. You know, you need to be spending 5 and 6 weeks during pre-season doing that type of work. And you know, with the schedules, you have very little time to work in between games during the week. So that hasn't helped him. But I'm with Carlton as well. For, you know, somebody who's regarded so highly as a coach, to be as stubborn as he's been and stuck with his beliefs as to how the game should be played, because it is still the results business. I feel that he should have modified his beliefs a little bit to get through this season and then start a fresh pre-season ready for next season. I'm surprised, Lee. Are you?
Yeah, yes and no. I think what's happened is he's gone in there and says, this is the system I want to play, and I think he's put players into positions that he's sort of trying people out in certain positions to see if it can work. I think he's done it in training a few times and gone, do you know what, that looks all right. And then I think he's gone into games and they've been so poor and blown him away as to how poor some of them have played and made poor mistakes. And then from there on, I think he's just gone, do you know what, I'm just going to stick at this. I'm going to show the board who I want, who I don't, who fits, who doesn't, and try and train the people up that he does want to keep to play in the positions that he wants them to play in. And I'm still of the thing, you know, this takes about, because when I got there, but I'd been there a year or so, I can't remember, it was 89, 90, I think we finished 13th. The season after we finished 6th. Then we finished runners-up to Leeds, and the year after we won the Premier League. So I'm thinking it's going to be a similar sort of transition. That he's going to finish 13th, 14th this year, top 6, top 2.
But at that time,
Sharpe, you had too much to sleep there this afternoon.
I'd like to see Alex Ferguson's stats from 89, 90 compared to this.
But I look
and he didn't change the formation. We were just rubbish.
Yeah, but
we were just struggling to score goals.
When you look at that present United team now, how many of that present United team could be in a team that's going to win the league?
Well, no, but what I'm saying is we won the league in 92, 93. This is 89. This is like 3 years. I'm talking 3 years. How many of them are there going to be there in 3 years?
But we're in the modern game now. No, you don't get that time, do you?
But Carlton, you're not looking next season. You're not looking at players that are going to win you the league. You don't want players. You can't. They're not going to win the league next year. So you're not looking at. You want players that are going to finish top end of the table to top 6.
Yes.
So you're not looking at players that are winning you the league next season.
Yeah.
So you can look at all that squad and say, well, he's not going to win the league, he's not going to win me the league. Well, you're not going to do that next year. So you've got 3 or 4 years.
But will he get 3 or 4 years?
I think so, if you see that progression every year. Now, look, Arteta's not won the league, he's still there 4 years later.
But I think there's you say he hasn't won the league, and I do believe that Arteta has to post winning something and has to do it pretty soon. But you've seen the progression in the football club since the day he's gone in there. There's been progression. Amorim's been there now a few months, as Gary says, for a top coach.
No, I agree.
I actually think they've gone backwards.
Yeah, I think
agree.
if anything, they've edged backwards.
Yeah, I agree.
But sometimes you do have to go backwards in order to go forwards.
Right.
Yeah.
But, you know, how much patience is there in the modern game? Not much.
The other thing is, when you're comparing your time to now and finishing 13th and then ultimately becoming champions, did you have the off-field issues, which Sir Jim Ratcliffe has been very open about now? He gave a recent interview to Gary Neville, didn't he? He was saying that they were going to go bust in November.
We had Michael Knighton running on the pitch saying he was going to buy the club and shooting in front of the Stretford end, and then that all went messed up. And so they definitely had financial...
To the same degree, though?
Well, I don't know about the same degree, because the club wasn't worth as much, and you know, the whole thing's shifted, hasn't it? It wasn't worth billions back then, it was worth millions. It was about to be sold for millions, and it didn't. And so I don't know what the financial situation of the club was at the time compared to now, but certainly there was a sale going on that didn't happen. Sir Alex nearly got sacked if we hadn't won the FA Cup. So there was definitely trouble and sort of turmoil around the club. Maybe not as big as it is now, but the club probably wasn't as big then as what it is now. And
cutting meals with the staff, I mean, that sort of thing.
Well, cutting meals, I don't know if the staff got meals back then.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't know. But I just think it just seems like a very similar situation now to what we were in. We were 13th, 14th, thinking, how are we ever going to get out of this? We can't score a goal. We're struggling to win. The manager was going absolutely ballistic. His philosophy was we never lose more than two in a row, and we'd go and lose 2 and 3 in a row regular. And we were all, our confidence was shot. We didn't know where we were going to get the next win from, and we were struggling. And the fans were on our back, the press were on our back, and then all of a sudden you get a little bit of momentum. You know, we win the FA Cup in 1990. It gets us into Europe. We win the Cup Winners' Cup. Then we sort of think we can beat people. Then all of a sudden you get a bit of a run. We're challenging Leeds for the league, and then from then on, the rest sort of is history. So they are a million miles away at the moment, and the performances have been poor. I think the work rate has probably been substandard for a long period. They've run less than everybody else, and that's the one thing you ask when teams are struggling. So I think that needs to be organised. But the whole change of philosophy, change of manager, I think the Glaziers, the Jim Radcliffe thing, the new ground, it is an absolute mess at the moment. But it doesn't take long for that switch to go. Half a dozen players come in the summer, half a dozen players leave. You've got a new sort of impetus in the club, a new
I think you're right, Sharpe, and looking at the Premier League as it is now, no disrespect to Brentford, no disrespect to Nottingham Forest, it isn't the same Premier League that we're talking about, quality all the way down. So it won't take a lot, but what I'm seeing at the moment with him, and I'm looking at him, for a top coach who's gone in there, yes, I want to play this way, but how am I going to give the players confidence if I'm going to play a 3-4-3 system, playing somebody out of position, right? And they're not used to playing that. So I'm looking and saying, right, OK, you can be stubborn to the point where you're going to stick to your principles. But listen, I've got to get to a transfer window. I'm speaking to the hierarchy. I want to bring these players in to play the way I do. So in the meantime, let's get results, right? Let's get some results on the board till I can do that. And that's what's disappointed me the most about the way that they played. Today, you know, the derby takes... you know, no getting up for the players. Don't care what system he plays today, the players are going to be up for it. Because Derby Day is Derby Day, right? But, you know, over the course of the season, and, you know, when he's saying this is the worst Manchester United team and this, that and the other, it didn't need to be like that. And some of the comments that he's come out and made, I know he's a young manager, going into a massive club like Manchester United, I take on board what Gary said, which he didn't want to come in during the season, and no manager likes to do that. But he had no other chance if he wanted to come and be the manager of Manchester United.
You know, to conclude it, I think Lee has basically said in his own kind of coded message that he fancies Manchester United to win the Premier League in about 3 seasons' time. Is that right, Lee?
Oh, I think they'll be challenging, yeah.
OK, there you go.
Fitting in with
There,
Project...
Lee Sharpe said it.
Fitting in with
Here on
Project
Astro.
150.
I'm not saying they'll win it, but I think they'll be challenging, yeah.
Are you cloning Cantona back home?
Cloning Cantona?
Getting him ready, and Schmeichel?
No, I just think there's a few too many players there that are not that can't handle a club, that have made individual errors. It doesn't matter what formation you want to pick. When you're letting goals in like they have and they're putting performances that are lacklustre like they are, it's all right, Cotton, saying, yeah, you can all get up for a derby, because we can. Everyone can get up for a derby in a big game, and they've proven that they can do that. It's the other games, it's the bread and butter games that they need to get up for. And as a Manchester United player, that's just the basics.
OK.